Police in France say a member of the security forces opened fire on a man outside the Louvre Museum in Paris after he was attacked on Friday morning. The attacker, who was armed with a machete, shouted, "God is great," in an Arabic language. He was shot but is alive despite sustaining serious injuries. One soldier was also injured in the incident. The Prime Minister said the attack was terrorist in nature. Streets around the world, a famous museum, have been cordoned off. I'm now joined live by Elena Casas. Elena, many strands now to this story. Can you talk us through what exactly happened today at the Louvre Museum?
Well, just after 10 a.m. this morning local time, a man tried to enter the Louvre Museum shop with a suitcase. He was stopped by soldiers on a counter-terror patrol and then attacked one of them with a knife. Soldiers then opened fire on him and he was shot 5 times. The assailant is now seriously injured in hospital and a soldier was also slightly injured. Now, what we don't know is the identity of this assailant or what could have motivated him to do this. Authorities haven't released any details about his identity or his nationality. The Prime Minister has called this an attack with clear terrorist intent, but he also said that we shouldn't be speculating and we shouldn't jump to conclusions about the attacker's possible links to any terrorist group. At the moment, we simply don't know.
Well, Elena, we do understand that streets around the world-famous museum have now been cordoned off. What's the latest on security operations in the French capital?
Well, the streets around the Louvre Museum has now been reopened, after that cordoning off earlier this morning. But hundreds of tourists were locked down inside the museum for hours this morning while police were trying to neutralise the attacker. Now, the Louvre is the world's most visited museum, but its number of visits, the number of tourists coming here, have already fallen by 15% in the last year. And that's been blamed by city authorities on tourists' fear of possible attacks in Paris. And this, of course, is a city that's been under very high security for the last 2 years, since 21 people were killed in a series of attacks in January 2015. Since then, France has been on the highest possible security alert, and there are armed police and soldiers that one sees here on every street corner. And the authorities said that if it hadn't been for the presence of those soldiers on one of those counter-terror patrols this morning, this attack could have been much more serious. But of course, it's the last thing that the authorities want to see, another attack like this happening here in Paris, when people are already feeling jumpy after 2 years of terrorist-related violence in France. And as I said, the number of tourists here has already dropped fairly significantly as people around the world start to perceive Paris as a place that it's no longer quite so safe to visit as it once was.
All right, Elena Casas for us there in Paris.